Good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. A look from our nation's capital today, where no voting to reopen the government will be happening today. Senators are in D.C., but are not in session for the Yom Kippur holiday. So far, there has been no progress on an agreement. The full impact of a government shutdown on Minnesota isn't clear yet, but today Governor Walz says the 18,000 federal workers in the state will be furloughed, and there will be disruptions to certain services the longer this goes on.
These are Minnesota tax dollars that are now not going anywhere. And I'll tell you, some of the early hits will be in the Farm Service offices, the FSA offices, which are already under threat because this is the time that they get used the most during harvest. We're seeing, of course, crisis in farm country because we're not having soybean purchases made. And I'm reminding people that these purchases that China is making elsewhere outside the United States are 10-year contracts, and it's going to be very, very difficult for us to get back into the market. So this is not a time for the federal government to be trying to distract from whatever things need to be done.
Shutdown are going to have ripple effects in our state, too. In Minnesota, counties run the SNAP benefit program, meaning the state doesn't contribute any funds. Now the federal government is reducing its role. It means the financial burden will be passed down to taxpayers at the local level. In the past, federal government has reimbursed counties around 50% for administrative costs. But the big, beautiful bill drops that down to 25%. So let's look at how this is going to impact one county in Minnesota. Lori Halverson, the vice president of the Minnesota Inter-County Association Board, says St. Louis County has the third highest total number of households receiving SNAP benefits and one of the state's highest tax burdens.
They're anticipating that in 2027, they're going to be required to pick up the administrative cost share that H.R. 1 is shifting to the state. And that component alone will be shifting that burden to the property taxpayers at the tune of about $1.5 million.
Halverson says it won't just be people in greater Minnesota feeling the impact of these SNAP cuts. She says other counties are looking at levies to offset those costs. It's that time of the year when people start to begin to shop for health insurance, but for nearly 1 million Minnesotans, open enrollment will come with some major sticker shock. The information just came out, and it's not just a coincidence that it came alongside the federal shutdown. Kent Erdahl is here to break it all down.
If you're a Minnesota farmer, small business owner, or anyone else who relies on the MNsure marketplace because you can't get health insurance through an employer, be warned.
Health insurance rates for 2026 are going up, and the numbers are alarming.
Grace Arnold, the commissioner of Minnesota's Department of Commerce, announced today that MNsure rates are set to increase by an average of 22% for the 187,000 Minnesotans shopping on the individual market, while another 200,000 in the small group market will see rates go up by 14%.
Middle-class Minnesotans are those that will be hit the hardest by these increases.
That's because for years, enhanced premium tax credits have helped lower healthcare costs for around 90,000 middle-class Minnesotans by hundreds of dollars a month. But they're now set to expire next year unless Congress acts.
We've seen our uninsured rate in Minnesota drop over the last few years, I think in large part due to those tax credits. More people than ever before, more middle-class families can afford health insurance.
This increased rates on our health insurance couldn't come at a worse time.
Gary Werdish is president of the Minnesota Farmers Union. He says many grain farmers are already struggling with negative cash flow due to the loss of soybean exports to China. And now many are facing higher premiums and the loss of that tax credit.
A certain number of farmers are going to be faced with the decision, do I just drop my health insurance at all because I can't afford it? Do I do that so I can make my payment to the bank to avoid foreclosure?
While Congress still has time to resolve the tax credits, looming cuts to Medicaid are already having ripple effects for all.
Insurance companies are pricing in that risk, and they're assuming that more people will lose coverage, especially younger, healthier Minnesotans, and that will leave behind an older and sicker risk pool, which drive costs up even farther.
Which brings us to the other group feeling major sticker shock. The roughly 400,000 Minnesota seniors who rely on Medicare Advantage plans learned today that rates will increase by nearly 18% on average.
We did not expect premiums were going to be going up this much, but they are, and there are people that are not very happy about it, as you can imagine.
Kelly Jo Greiner is the Medicare product manager for the Minnesota Board on Aging. When the federal Medicare Plan Finder tool went live today, she says it wasn't just the rates that went higher across the board, but several providers, including UCare, have either stopped offering plans or scaled them back.
So helping people find a plan that they can afford, that their provider participates in, is probably going to be more challenging this year than it has in past years.
Kent Erdahl reporting there. Because of all the changes to both Medicare plans and to MNsure, experts say it's critical not to simply renew coverage this year without doing your research. The state has specialists available to help answer any questions and compare plans, and we got information on that and a link to it over at Kare11.com. Right now, one of the children injured in the Annunciation Church shooting is back in school. The official fundraising site for Lydia Kaiser, who you see here, posted the update saying she's so happy to be with her friends and teachers and get back to learning. We also learned the 8th grader will need ongoing care but is feeling stronger every day. Developing right now, 2 people are dead and 3 others are hurt after a man rammed his car into a crowd and stabbed people at a synagogue in northern England in what police there are calling a terror attack. It came as worshipers observed Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. NBC's Matt Bodner is in London with the latest.
Good morning. Horrifying scenes out of Manchester today. Police now say that 2 of the victims of the attack are dead, and they've separately confirmed that the attacker was shot by police and has also died. We're still awaiting more details about today's attack, but it began this morning when police say that a car was used to attack members of the public, and this was followed by a stabbing incident. At least 4 people are being treated for injuries caused by the vehicle, as well as stab wounds. Manchester police are now on alert for attacks in other synagogues in the area, saying increased security measures have been put in place around those sites. It is, of course, the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur. Here in London, we've also seen a statement from police announcing increased security measures around synagogues and in areas heavily populated by the Jewish community, though they have said there is no specific threat in London at this time. Prime Minister Keir Starmer was in Copenhagen when the attack took place. He is now on his way back to London to chair a meeting of his COBRA Emergency Situation Council. King Charles has issued a statement praising the speed of emergency responders to this incident and said that he is, quote, deeply shocked and saddened to learn of the horrific attack in Manchester, especially on such a significant day for the Jewish community. Matt Bodner, NBC News, London.
All right, back in the Twin Cities with some lighter news, especially for beer fans. Dangerous Man, you know the logo. Dangerous Man Brewing says it's returning under new ownership after closing 2 years ago. The brewery had still been producing beer, but ended all production this past March. The new owners plan to get production back up and running while they look for a new tap room. Right now, the Twin Cities music scene is honoring what they call a hero. Conrad, no last name needed, was the stage manager for First Avenue for the last 37 years. Every rock star that played the First Ave stage knew him. They called him by his name and knew him as one of the real stars behind the building adorned with stars. And as Jana Shoto reports, every one of them are mourning the loss of Conrad, who died this week at the age of 66.
It's hard not to notice that one name on the building different than the rest.
And I think he was like an institution within an institution, you know? I mean, he has his own star, right? His own door into the venue at First Avenue.
Conrad had to have a star next to the stars because without him, the shows don't go on here. He was the stage manager, the rock star whisperer, the rock behind the storied place where legends wish upon a star just to play.
He was magic. He'd touch you and go, okay, here we go. It was we. It was a we thing, You didn't feel alone. He made you feel like you belonged. I loved him.
Walsh played the Ave many times, and this is the moment he's going to always remember about taking the stage. The moment when Conrad said, "It's time."
He took care of you. He made sure that you were calm, that you were good to go.
Ike Riley was one of Conrad's best friends, and every time he hit the Minneapolis city limits on his way to play the Ave, he made one phone call.
I've never driven into Minneapolis with or without a show without calling him. Like when I cross over the river.
I'm not going in front of here or nothing.
It's a call he's not going to make next month when he comes back for the first time without Conrad. Stage left.
It's going to be difficult to go there, but it would be even harder not to go there. And how can you walk in that place? It's going to be weird not to make that call.
Dessa, who began her career with Doomtree, remembered the first time she walked off the stage, and Conrad gave her a gift.
I I remember at the end of the show, he went, "You're next, kid." I think that it felt like winning the National Book Award. I was like, Conrad thinks that I could play. Conrad thinks that I could play First Avenue. And I remember like tucking that comment, oh my gosh, away inside a chamber of my heart as one of the biggest votes of confidence that meant so much to me. Yeah.
Janice Shorto reporting there. Stick with us. We got more news and weather. It's coming up after the break.